At the Google I/O today, we saw a lot of exciting new launch, specifically the new and improved Gemini Pro model, as well as a brand new Flash model. Pro being great for complex tasks that might take a bit longer and have higher quality of response, and Flash is something you can use towards high frequency, narrow tasks that you want responses really fast. These models are available in over 200 plus countries and you can start using them right away. In this video, let's see from start to finish how to build AI workflows and backend jobs with the latest and greatest Gemini models. First, on BuildShip, which is a visual low-code backend builder, let's create a new workflow. Let's call this Gemini workflow and create it. As a starting point, you need to add a trigger. Let's add the REST API called trigger as the starting point for our workflow. Next, you want to add your Gemini model. We already have support for the latest Gemini models. For example, if I add this text generator one, you'll see all that you need to do is supply the API key, your prompt, and you can start using it in the next steps of your workflow. To add the API key, we have the handy information and link, the console ready for you here so that you don't have to go looking around. So let me go here. It takes me to the AI Studio of Google, and I just need to give a few consent if this is the first time I'm using it. And then you're able to either use Gemini within the studio in a chat type of interface, or you can develop with it with API, which is what we are after today. So let me get that API key and let me copy this. Don't worry, I'll be invalidating this later, but don't share your secret key with anybody. And on BuildShip, you can securely store this in your secret manager. So let me go here, add a secret. Let me call this Gemini and save. This gets stored to a Google Cloud Secret Manager where you are able to then use it in your workflows without exposing it to your front end. So let me go ahead now use this secret. I've selected the model here already, but if you want to change it, if you want to use something else like Gemini Flash, it's very easy to change each and every node on BuildShip. So I can go here and I can change the input and I can add another version. Say suppose tomorrow Google launches another new model, you can just add this as an option and can test it out and make sure it works. You can also look at the code logic and change it any way you want. And when you're ready and you're happy with the test results, you can save it. And as I said, if a new model comes and you want to do something else, you can actually generate a specific node yourself. So you can say, given a prompt and secret, use the Gemini model and return generated text, for example. And what you can do is copy paste any code snippet or sample code that is provided in different documentation and generate with AI. It takes a few seconds and comes back to you with a specific node just for you. There you go. If I go into the code, you'll be able to see that it used the code in JavaScript, TypeScript here. It has the prompt. It has the ability for you to add the API key. Let me go ahead and type something here. Write a poem about BuildShip. And then you give the API key and you test it. You can also test it at individual node level or the entire workflow level. And when you're happy with the results, you can then use it in the subsequent node. For example, if you want to save it to a database like Firestore, you can add and create Firestore document. You can do any type of CRUD operation. And then when you do that, you simply pass the value from one node to another by using this easy expression editor, and all the information you need about every node is available on this information panel. That's it. So now you can start saving this. So obviously you need to provide the project ID and so on. You can also store it to Google Sheets and whatever destination you wanted. You can run things in parallel. You can branch. Essentially, you can build your logic and code in this kind of new visual way of development. All right, so let me get rid of all the nodes that we don't want for the purpose of this demo, let me use this pre-built node that we already have so that you don't have to generate one. And I can give a prompt here that is incoming from the user's API call rather than a static one generate a poem on BuildShip, because that means every time this workflow runs, the same thing gets generated, which is not what we want. So let me go and say from the incoming request in the query parameter, because it's a get API call, I have the prompt, for example, and I want to return the value that was generated by Gemini. So if I do this simple test and I say the same thing, as you can see, BuildShip creates a unique endpoint URL which you can use in any other application. So I just go here and say poem about Gemini AI by Google. Okay, so we got an error. So it says it cannot find undefined property. Now, what does that mean? So let's debug this. So as you can see, every step runs and gives you an error. So it's easier to understand what's going on. You can also understand what's going on by looking at the logs in a bit more depth. But very simply here, what happened is this input it's not able to recognize. And it's saying that this value that we have here is missing. So actually, it looks like I didn't save this. So let me actually add that back here. And then if we run it again, now it should be able to recognize that the prompt is the prompt that you need to pass it to Gemini and use it. There you go. So that's an easy way to test and debug. And when you're happy with the results, say, for example, you don't want this whole big thing, you want a summary version of it, you can say add another node here saying a short version. Or even in the prompt, you can add more things like, hey, this is the prompt, but I want to add additional text because this is JavaScript, right? You can say, make it just 4 lines. So this is how you can make changes. And when you're happy with your workflow to do exactly what you want, you can ship it. And of course, you need to give an endpoints path. So here I need to give it a name. So let me call this Gemini. And then when I ship this, it gives me this unique endpoint URL, which has this path. And then I can use this in other places. For example, if you're building a no-code app using any of the no-code app builders, or a front-end Next.js app, React app, or even export this as an open API spec, you can do that. And this is how you build your backend on BuildShip. And now you can use Gemini in any of your ideas. So we have lots of templates, and you can replace an existing model in that with Gemini. And you can also add it to your content generation pipeline, your recommendation. You can add WhatsApp bots with it. So you can imagine and build anything you want flexibly and extensively. And this is super exciting. Join us on Discord. We have a great community and support for you to help in your journey to BuildShip.